Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I'm sorry for the delay. As usual, I'm always apologizing every time I come back on camera. Sorry about the delay on not having videos. I wanted to get something out last week. Things got really busy. There's a lot of shakeups at work coming on, and it's just been insane. More than it usually is, you know? Isn't that how always adulthood goes? Anyway, I have a review here for another Give Yourself Goosebumps book. This is number 15. It's one that people have always wanted me to read. I've heard recommendations on this constantly, not because so much the book seems like it's going to be great or anything, even though I had a good time with it. It seems like people wanted me to talk about it just because it's one of the only GYG books that are still in print. Not consistently over the years, just all of a sudden they re-released it maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago at some point. And you can still buy a newer copy with the newer cover. I actually forgot to get that for the video. But still, I have the original right here. Number 15, Please Don't Feed the Vampire. And yes, that is Fifi, the dog, from Goosebumps 2015, the movie, you know? Now, I love the film. I think the film's really good. And I like the film a lot more than I like this book. GYG, in case you don't know, as per usual, is a choose-your-own-adventure series. You basically jump in there, you read a page, and at the bottom of the page, most of the time, it will tell you to go somewhere else in the book. You might go forwards, you might go backwards, you might go all over the place. They are really typically very fun, but here lately I've had kind of a dry spell with a lot of these. I think I've had one really solid one in the last year that I've been reading books for the channel and reviewing things, especially GYG books for the channel. I haven't had really many home run books that have really just been something I've loved, you know, over the last year, even though I haven't kind of put as many videos out over the last year or two. But the ones I have read over this last year, mainly with this series, like I said, I've kind of hit a dry spell where I think I've read probably all of the great ones. There might be a couple more that I'm looking forward to, like Toy Terror, or Ship of Ghouls, or whatever. But those are something I kind of want to save towards the end of the GYG series of reviews, because I'm almost done. I only have like maybe 12, 13 videos left, somewhere in there, 15, I don't know. I have like 40 some odd reviews of these books so far. Or 30 or something like that, 35, I don't know. This might be 34. Anyway, what is this book about? Well, Don't Feed the Vampire, or Please Don't Feed the Vampire, has kind of a cool setup. I actually really like the concept, and I wish it was a better book for what the concept was. I feel like with a different writer it could have been better. I have a lot of nitpicks about this book, a lot of actual issues with the book. But let's start with the concept first and foremost. It being a choose-your-own-adventure book, basically like all of these books in the GYG series, you have the concept basically be the setup, and then eventually you have kind of a fork in the road. You pick one path or the other, and you go down two completely different roads, pretty much in every single one of these books. Sometimes you have other options, but really it's just those two paths you can go down. Well, Halloween is in a few days in this book's timeline story, whatever, in the 90s, I guess. And you just recently got a costume that you're putting on. Yes, you are the main character in the story. I always like that. I always appreciate that with these books. You got a costume from a thing called Vampire in a Can. That just sounds like something from the 1990s. I love it. It's great. You put the costume on, and apparently there's a packet inside of the bottom, and you and your best friend Gabe are talking about this costume looking kind of dorky. And you look in the bottom of the box, canister, or whatever, and you see this little packet. And Gabe asks you what it is. You pull it out, and basically it kind of looks like a reddish liquid. You're not really sure if it's blood or fake blood or whatever it could be. And you have the option, this is the fork in the road on page 2. Yeah, you don't have like 5 or 10 pages you read first before that big fork in the road. Man, the sun came out. I'm sorry, it's bright right now. You don't have that fork in the road 10 pages down the road. You have it in the first 2 pages, and you get to choose whether you want to open that packet of blood or not. And when it says open it, it actually means, would you like to put this in your mouth and drink it and swallow it, you know? That seems like a terrible idea from anything that came from a canister. If you never heard of possibly buying open packages like food from the grocery store, you don't ever put that in your mouth. But you have the option to put this red liquid that you don't know what it is in your mouth. That sounds like something out of Silent Hill or Resident Evil. And in that option, if you put it in your mouth, you turn into a vampire. Apparently it is a packet of blood. And you become a vampire, and you and your friend Gabe have to kind of figure out what to do with you. Now, this storyline here is fine. It's fine. I like it. It's above average. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it, but it's nothing really worth a recommendation. Does that make sense? It's just kind of whatever. It's the biggest majority of the book, I would say, is focused on this path of the story. And it's fine. It has some fun moments. There's one involving kind of like a vampire party that's kind of cool. But the endings pretty much on every single one of these endings for this path in this section of the book, in general in both paths of the book, I don't really feel like any of the endings were really that great. I mean, I might have had like maybe one out of like the 20 endings in the entire book that really did anything for me. The book is 137 pages, so that should tell you it's fairly short. It flies by. I read this in like an hour and a half, but still. So, what's the other path? Well, if you don't drink the blood from the packet, if you just kind of throw it to the side, apparently your dog, Fifi, you know, this sweet little darling here who has massive fangs, bigger than a regular old poodle's fangs, she gets into it, she pops it, she drinks it, and she turns into a vampire. Yeah, vampire dogs. And I'll be honest with you, I actually like this storyline better than I like the one of you turning into a vampire. It's actually a little bit more fun. Fifi gets loose, she starts biting the neck of every dog and animal in the whole neighborhood. There's actually one ending I really like involving a vampire mosquito. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the Fifi storyline with her turning into a vampire, I like a lot more. I kind of think that this dog doesn't deserve to be in the Goosebumps 2015 movie. It's kind of one of those things like the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. Yeah, he's a cool monster from a fun story, but did he really deserve all the face time he got? Not like the Werewolf of Fever Swamp, not like Slappy, not like what the Haunted Mask deserved, in my opinion. Or even the Blob. The Blob really deserved it too. Not that the story is great, but that monster's utilization for the movie was really good. It's sad to see that happen with things like Fifi. Even though I like Fifi, I like the dog in the story, it's kind of fun. And this whole concept, like I said, of your dog turning into a vampire is kind of cute. I wish there was kind of more of a heartfelt portion to this that was focused on that, but it doesn't really go that route. Needless to say, Fifi is not your best friend. And things go horribly wrong a lot of the time. Like I said, the storyline about you becoming a vampire is not as fun. It has its moments, but it's not as fun as Fifi turning into a vampire. So that's pretty much my stance on all of it. The book is finely written. The character stuff is really just you and Gabe. That is what it is. There's really nothing to talk about with this. It's about as fine and filler-esque as you could get with a Goosebumps GYG book. And I had a good time reading it. It's just, there were some dull times with this. I don't know if it's just me and like a weird burnout. I don't know why I'd have burnout, so I don't think it's that. I don't think I have burnout. I made a lot of videos for a long time, and then I've taken like the last year or so and just kind of slowed down, pulled back. So it's not really me in a burnout mode. It's really, to me, just the book. It's just kind of, it's whatever. It's really not as special as I think a lot of people really recommended it as, even though I don't think a lot of those people love the book where it seems like they do. It just seems like a lot of newer readers, to me, didn't know that there was a whole franchise of GYG stuff. They see this and they think, oh, that's cool, it's something different, and people really, really, really want you to read it. But it is what it is. You know, I'm glad I read it finally. I'm glad I finally got around to doing a review on it, because I wanted to check this out at some point. I wanted to save it hoping that it would be a better GYG book, since I've hit kind of a dry spell recently with these. Anyway, when it comes to Give Yourself Goosebumps number 15, Please Don't Feed the Vampire. I enjoyed the book. I think it's a good book, and I think if you're the right audience, not even if you're like into vampire stories, I like vampire stories, but even in Goosebumps I like vampire stories, as a matter of fact, but I would even say that like, you know, Vampire Breath I like more than this, which should say a lot. You know, and I'm a person who really enjoyed that book for the most part. I think it's got some cool stuff in it, but even as a vampire fan, there's not really a whole lot of vampirism stuff that's really cool here. It is what it is. A couple of little lore changes on vampires I thought was kind of cool that I had never thought of or never heard of people talking about with vampires. But anyway, kind of cool stuff, but nothing super special, frankly. If I had to rate the book on a 5-star basis, you can probably guess what I'd give it. I'm kind of indifferent towards it. It's fine, it's got some cool moments, some above average moments. I'd give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Do I recommend it? If you're the right audience. If you love GYG, absolutely check it out. But if you're not really a fan of that, if you like more of the scary Goosebumps stuff, it's not going to be for you. Even if you like more of the comedy-focused Goosebumps book stuff, there's really not much of that in here, aside from like the vampire mosquito thing I talked about. There's not really any good endings. There's most of the endings here, I would say, just are kind of shrugs. You know, like, oh, you died. You know, that's the way it's written, not so much my reaction. My reaction is the exact same thing, but most of it is how it's actually written. Like, meh, you'll get over it. You know? Anyway, 3 out of 5 stars for me. What do you guys think about this book? Put your thoughts and comments down below. I would love to hear what you folks have to say about Please Don't Feed the Vampire. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.